X test 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2. Check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2, check 1 2. All right, looking good. Welcome in, guys. Ready to get started.
This is Armed American.
A lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Oh, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Monster Cast begins right now here in the Car Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day in front of this very powerful CZ Platinum microphone. It's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. Here we are, Sunday, gun day. Got here quick.
It always does, Sunday gun day. Hey, look, we're live on Facebook.com, everybody. Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. If you want to watch us over there or listen, you can do both. You'll see my mug up there as the show progresses. We're up there live. Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Greg, I'll let you tell everybody where to go and get the rest of the streams there live and participate in the chat. And we'll get cracking with my opening, and then we'll go in the second segment to Paul Markel before we head to AWR.
Yep, sure. Other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. To join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, I appreciate it if you do that, and follow us at those platforms as well. Help us out. Help us take our social media back. And subscribe to our podcast, Armed American Radio, on your favorite podcast platform. All right, guys, I want you to take me with kind of a grain of salt here, okay? A little bit of humor here, but not. You'll see as I progress through this opening segment here. But I'll start with a question. Can you believe this? The gun grabbers waving the white flag? Could that possibly be? Or at least one of their top generals is. Greg, we all know Senator Chris Murphy. He's an anti-gun zealot at his core. That's right. Senator Chris Murphy, the Connecticut Democrat who has made a complete career out of filibustering for more red tape on your rifles, your guns in general. Is he now admitting defeat? He's telling his own party, hey, maybe we shouldn't be chasing away pro-gun Democrats if it means we actually win elections. Think of Harry Reid. Sir, you lied about Mitt Romney's taxes. And Senator Harry Reid famously said, yeah, but it worked. So he admitted he lied, and he did it for one reason, to tank an election for the other side. They don't care what they tell you, if it's true or not. They know they're lying to you. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Could it be? Because he's telling his own party again, hey, maybe we shouldn't be chasing away pro-gun Democrats if it means we actually win elections. It's like watching the vegan at the barbecue suddenly ask for seconds on the ribs dibs, right? So this is kind of delicious. So we'll get into it because it is kind of fun. But we're going to unpack this because to me it's a bombshell, and we will talk about this throughout the night with all of our guests and a lot of other things as well. Because if the anti-gun zealots are rethinking what Murphy said was their litmus test, meaning gun control, then it's proof positive that America is in fact waking up, that the National Rifle Association is in fact winning, and that the Second Amendment is far stronger than ever, more than they ever wanted to believe. So let's set the stage here before we go into Murphy's kind of I look at it as a mea culpa. Maybe his muzzle flash of reality, or is it? So you know me if you listen to the program long enough. You'll hear some condescension here when I'm talking about this. But nonetheless, let's take a dive. This guy has been the poster child, Chris Murphy, for the Bloomberg-funded gun ban brigade since the day he slithered into the Senate back in 2013, and he's a snake. Remember Sandy Hook? Tragic, heartbreaking, we all remember that. But Murphy, what did Murphy do? He turned it into a political battering ram. He led the marathon filibuster back in 2016 after Orlando. Remember that? The guy yapped and flapped his gums for nearly 15 solid hours about common sense reforms. Sounded an awful lot like the confiscation to anyone who's read the Federalist Papers, because that's what he's talking about. He pushed universal background checks, assault weapons ban, red flag laws. You name the infringement, and Chris Murphy's, well, let's just say he's wanted to embrace it intimately. Always has. And he sponsored it. Hell, he's even fundraised millions through his, remember this one? Go back a little ways in your memory. NR8, cash grabs. Remember that, NR8? To try to elect 8 more of his anti-gun liberty clones, splitting the dough among the Democrats who promised to tighten the noose on all of us law-abiding gun owners. And let's not forget his latest hits. Just last week on September 12th, Murphy was out there poo-pooing armed guards in schools. All you've got to do is check his Twitter feed. Why? Because get this, he said, school shootings aren't common enough to justify armed guards at public schools. And the kids are more likely to get clobbered by a falling piano than a bullet. That was Chris Murphy. How about his thread on X, formerly known as Twitter, where he whines that guns in the wrong hands amp up political violence? No kidding, Senator. Your side's hands, by the way. That's why we have due process, not pre-crime confiscation. But here's the kicker. Murphy spent years turning the Democrat Party into a no-fly zone for anyone who dares to touch a trigger. Want to run as a Dem in a rural district? Better swear fealty to every town for gun safety, or they're going to primary you faster than you can say shall not be infringed. So why the sudden epiphany? It's simple. Democrats are getting shellacked at the ballot box everywhere, and they know it. Fast forward just to this month, September 2025, and Murphy's out here soul-searching like a liberal at a Trump rally. In a sit-down that's got the gun grabbers gasping, he straight up confessed, and I quote him, "I bear some responsibility for where we are today. I spent a long time trying to make the issue of guns a litmus test for the Democrat Party." A litmus test, folks. That's code for if you're pro-Second Amendment, you're not welcome in our tent. He admits that obsessing over this, forcing every Democrat candidate to genuflect at the altar of gun control, has shrunk their coalition to the size of a vegan steak portion. All of the interest groups, this is a quote, that ended up trying to apply a litmus test, he used that term again, for their issue ended up making our coalition a lot smaller. What's the translation here? The party is realizing, particularly now post-Trump too, that flyover country, which is every place where real Americans live, hunt, fish, shoot, live, where we protect our families, those voters aren't buying the guns are icky shtick anymore. It's not happening, especially not after 2024 when the so-called red wave turned into a tsunami sweeping in more pro-gun lawmakers than you can count. Democrats lost seats in Montana, Pennsylvania, even parts of the Rust Belt, the entire union structure, ladies and gentlemen, because folks aren't handing over their AR-15s for a hug and a background check. Doesn't work that way. Murphy's not calling for full surrender, don't get me wrong. He's still anti-gun to his core, but he is whispering to his caucus, shh, maybe we let a few pro-gun Dems slide in under the radar, win a few of those swing districts, and then we can flip Congress and ram through the bans later. It's tactical retreat disguised as bipartisanship. But let's call it what it really truly is, folks. It's a panic. Another sign the Democrats are panicking. And you know what? This is a huge win for us, for you, for me, the everyday American that exercises your rights. Think about this. For decades, the left's strategy has been divide and conquer. Paint all gun owners as knuckle-dragging rednecks, fundraise off of tragedy, scare suburban soccer moms into voting blue. But the data doesn't lie. Polls, real polls, not cooked-up MSDNC polls, show that even in blue states, support for the Second Amendment is rock solid. Over 80% of Americans in most polls will suggest that background checks are okay. But that's already law, ladies and gentlemen, for licensed dealers. It's not something new that we have to put in. It's already there. What they don't back is banning your deer rifle, your home defense pistols, your AR-15s. And now with crime spiking in cities under soft-on-crime DAs, folks are arming up like never before. FBI stats prove that. ATF stats prove that. We've seen the numbers on the NICS checks. Record sales for nearly a decade. And first-time buyers, including more women and minorities than ever, that are flooding the gun-buying market. That's not a gun show loophole, Senator Murphy. That's the people voting their wallets and their security. So what about the flip-flop from Murphy here? Seeming flip-flop from Murphy. It's validation. It's the sound of gun control, house of cards crumbling right before our eyes. He's admitting what we've been shouting from the rooftops. Your extreme agenda isn't just unconstitutional, it's electoral poison. Democrats nominating pro-gun candidates in red-leaning districts, that's not evolution, that's desperation, folks. And it proves our point. The Second Amendment isn't a partisan football. It's a firewall against tyranny etched in the blood of patriots at Lexington and Concord and beyond. Reagan knew it, Kennedy knew it, even Barack Obama knew better than to push too hard. until his boys like Murphy got a little bit cocky. I'll close Murphy with this, but the hypocrisy here from Murphy shows me that he and the Democrats have absolutely no convictions. If they really believed in gun control, he wouldn't be saying what he's saying. And he is. When we come back, Paul Markel, student of the gun. Don't go away. All right, guys,
Probably
we're back in 20 seconds.
Probably only shipped to Florida.
Yeah, I come to think of it, I don't think I've seen it outside the state. It's good eating.
Might be a conservation thing.
It's a great catch, too, because they're bottom dwellers, and, man, they fight.
Oh. They're huge.
We grabbed a couple 4-foot barracudas, too. Those are fighters.
Always smiling.
Oh, yeah. Because they want to kill
The
you.
following segment
even
of
though they're
Armed
dead.
American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today.
Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the show. Indeed, National Rifle Association presents this show to you every single day, 6 days a week, ladies and gentlemen. And it is absolutely critical. If you were listening to my opening, now you know why. They will do anything. They will say anything. There's only one way to fight it. Stay engaged. NRA.org/AAR. Join us. We're going to send you the range bag for a 1-year membership or 3-year membership. We're going to send you the binoculars free. You need do nothing except join or rejoin, and you're going to get the binoculars for a 5-year life membership and the range bag for 1 year or 3. And then when all that is gone, and it's all done, and it will be soon, one of you is going to take away a second huge range bag filled with all kinds of Armed American Radio sponsor swag, crossbreed holsters, everything. It's all going to be there for you. So please join us, won't you, and help us in this fight. Get engaged. It's critically important. Charlie Kirkwood wants you engaged. That's for darn sure. NRA.org/AAR. Paul Markel, we've got you for one segment. How you doing, brother? You were listening to what I was saying about Murphy. You and I have talked about these lying Democrats for God knows how many years. Lost count. When you hear Murphy say stuff like this, you heard me talk about no convictions whatsoever. If you really believe in gun control, dude, don't abandon it. Run on it, bro. Apparently, they don't believe in it that much.
No, they absolutely do. They 100% do. But they're slimy, and they have to. They just got to, like a snake, finagle around the obstacles. But we've talked about this at length previously, up until basically the second Obama election. Remember this, when the second election, when Comrade Barry went out it was the second debate, and he said, derp, 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 AK-47s don't belong on our streets. Right? Mm-hmm. And we called this. I threw the flag. I blew the whistle and I threw the flag. I'm like, woo, something has changed. Because historically in the United States of America, Democrats have always been anti-gun, at least for the last 50 years. But they shut up about it until they're in power. And once they got that lock, like Clinton did, once they got that lock, then they go ahead. Once they got a House majority or a Senate majority, whatever, then they do. Something changed when Comrade Barry let it slip. And that's when all of the intelligent people said, okay, they've already counted the votes. Because you don't say that going into an election unless you've already counted the votes. They figured out how to rig the elections under Obama. And then they did it on roids in 2020. However, what just happened? That we flipped it on them. Mm-hmm. Trump and the thousands and thousands of attorneys and poll watchers and so forth, and they're looking to lose now that Trump is kicking out all their fake voters, their replacement voters. So what are they going to do? He says, all right, here's what we'll do. We'll go back to 1990s era where we shut up about it until we get power, and then we go ahead and push it. Make no mistake, if we allow them to get a majority in the House and the Senate, they will do a permanent ban on our favorite guns.
And those supposedly pro-gun Democrats that Murphy's referring to, whoever they may be, that he wants to now bring into the tent, those pro-gun Democrats will vote lockstep with the Democrats.
Absolutely.
They might get one or two in a district that they give a pass to because they know they got to give them a pass so they can say what they want, kind of like a tester in Montana maybe, right? All right, and that didn't work out too well because Americans now see through this. And you're right. The Democrats have always been anti-gun. They always will be. The bigger picture here, Paul, is Murphy thinks his voters are stupid, that they will fall for this. And guess what?
Oh, absolutely.
They will not. It's a joke. It's fun to watch. It really, truly is fun to watch, particularly as a pundit. You and I will have a lot to talk about over the next few years. But mark my word, ladies and gentlemen, coming up on this midterm, they're terrified at what just happened at Charlie Kirk. 150, 200,000 people in the Phoenix area today. Americans coming together like never before. This has got the Democrats in a complete, utter panic. So scared that they're now saying they need to start letting pro-gun Democrats in. That's how bad it is, Paul, for them. They don't know what they're doing. But I do hope they run AOC and Jasmine Crockett as a running mate. I pray for that. Are they that dumb? Yeah. They may very well be.
Well, they ran. They thought they could force the cackling hag drunk on us. They really thought they could do that.
Didn't turn out well for them.
And what did they spend? $1 billion? Something insane.
Yeah, in like what? 4 months?
In 4 months, 3 months, 90 days. They spent $1 billion and still lost. That's still got to be stinging for them.
Well, yeah, I mean, evidence of it is what Murphy
singing.
is saying. You know, Murphy's out there on Twitter lying all day long. Him and Adam Shifty Schiff are out there all day long lying. This is pure desperation from the Democrats. And when I was throwing together that intro today, it was fun to put together because it's so tasty. Because you can see right through these people. You know what they're doing, but they believe their own constituents are dumb as boxes of rocks, and many of them are, which is why they continue to put these people in office. This is a rudderless party. And folks, this is just indicative of what's coming in 2026, folks. Believe me, the lies coming from this party are going to be unlike anything you've ever seen before, and that says a lot, Paul.
Well, look at even that scumbag Newsom had to go on Sean Ryan's show and lie. Oh, I'm not against the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm. This might come as a shock to a lot of you. Yeah, well, okay. All right, Newsom. Yeah. Fortunately, nobody wants to live like California except the Californians who vote for you, apparently. But yeah,
no one believes
he
you.
Still doesn't have his gun. He left it with Sean Ryan because he couldn't get through his own red. He doesn't want the gun. But boy, he sure was thankful about it, wasn't it? You cannot believe anything these people tell you, but sadly, there's a large constituency of theirs that do. I don't know how this bite. Guys, I would recommend that you also take a look at bearingarms.com. I'll be on Cam and Company tomorrow. We will be talking about this. But Paul, I sent you Cam's piece. He wrote a really good piece on Murphy's supposed flip-flop. It's not a flip-flop. He's just saying this stuff because it's politically expedient. He thinks.
Yeah, they're just trying to dial back to how they did it in the 90s.
Yeah, it's a trial.
You know, what you do, and they tried it with that imbecile Walsh. You know, every Democrat who wants to be seen as a moderate, what do? They break out the khaki vest and they go stand in a field of corn and they hold a shotgun and they're like, I'm a sportsman. You can trust me with your gun rights.
Yeah. Kerry was famous for it, still had the tags on his Hunter Orange. You know?
Oh, yeah. You still see the fold marks where they like just pulled it out of the package.
Yeah, Comrade Barry is referred to him at Camp David with his shotgun. It's so funny. Hey, Paul, I know we're gonna. I know Greg is gonna tell us, and I want to apologize. Paul was scheduled to sit in on the roundtable today, but the crew was able to come together, so we were able to sneak you in here, and I appreciate you jumping in for the segment. We have about 25 seconds. Tell us where people can go and use that AAR promo code, please.
Yes, please go to SOTGU.com and sign up for any of our home study distance learning courses. If you use the promo code AAR, we'll give you 15% off your tuition.
That'll work. Paul, I'm going to ask you to hold on to the phones with me if you would through the break. Greg's got a message for you from me. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back from the break, we have AWR Hawkins scheduled to be here. We appreciate him taking time out of another very busy travel schedule. He's been on the road for a lot over the past couple of months. So hang tight with us through the break. We'll be back on the flip side right after this. Don't go away. Armed American Radio's Monstercast continues right after this.
Paulie said he had fuck off now.
Okay.
Hoosier, the voice of reason on KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, and you're tuned into the Armed American Radio Network. Now let's get back to the man himself, Mark Walters.
Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker. We love us some Andy Hoosier. Andy Hoosier will be on the program with us tomorrow. He joins us usually every single Monday, and we love him. KQAM, we love you too. Wichita's Big Talker. He is, of course, Wichita's favorite son. And I want to let you know, also coming up in the next hour, ladies and gentlemen, Sarasota County Sheriff Kurt Hoffman will be with us for the hour. And if I can replicate the conversation I had with him a couple nights ago and bring it back to you on the airwaves, oh, good heavens, you're in for a real one. Because we left nothing untouched, absolutely nothing untouched. And we're looking forward to having Sheriff Kurt Hoffman on in the next hour. Right now, we've got AWR Hawkins here in the Car Firearms Group studios with us in front of the CZ mic. AWR, how you doing, my friend? Thanks for being here today. I know you're traveling and busy, and thanks for your time, brother.
Doing great, buddy. Great to be with you.
Yeah, always fun to have you. You know that to be the case. So I want to start with a few of the things that I wrote that you wrote about. And first one, and I mentioned this article, AWR, on Friday's broadcast. The sky is falling is your headline. Giffords warns that open carry is a threat to all Floridians safety. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff Kurt Hoffman from Sarasota, the sitting sheriff, will be with us to talk about this and a lot of other things coming up. But that's big news in the state of Florida this week. And AWR, you wrote about it. So you've been to Florida. I don't even know, for as far as I know, you could be there now. Are there lift kits on trucks and cars because the rivers of blood are flowing? Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what. It's classic leftist that if the people are freer, then it's a danger. That's classic leftist. And the Giffords movement is an embarrassment. And it only exists because Mark Kelly marched his wife around to raise money, which is an embarrassment, while she was critically wounded and had been critically wounded. He just paraded around the country to raise money. So it's an embarrassment. But, yeah, there's nothing wrong with constitutional carry. And that's basically all that happened last week in Florida. They went from constitutional concealed carry to constitutional carry, period, open or concealed, which is how it's supposed to be. And you know that, and I know that. So, yeah. And I'm going to tell you what. I love carrying open in states where I can. Oklahoma. I'm in Oklahoma, Texas, and Arizona quite frequently, as well as Kentucky. And I carry open quite frequently in all those states. And, the whole reason I do it, and Mark, I think I've talked to you about this on the side. Maybe I haven't, but I like kids to see a rational adult carrying a handgun in the open, and parents to see that and go, you know what, nothing wrong with that. He's there. He's keeping himself safe. He's keeping us safe. And so, to me, open carry is a smart thing. I know a lot of people will say, Sheriff Grady Judd and I, I've got a piece going up tomorrow. I'm going to have he and I are going to get a little sideways on this because he is against open carry. And, I don't agree with Sheriff Judd, and I really like this guy, but I don't believe he's right here. I believe Americans, when I read the Second Amendment, Mark, you correct me if you read it and it says something different. I believe it says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I don't believe it says the right to keep and bear arms concealed shall not be infringed. I'm probably wrong, but I don't believe it says anything about needing to be concealed.
Hold on. I'm reading the tattoo on my forearm. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, period. No, it stops right there. You're right. Now, have you talked to Sheriff Judd? Because I played a clip from him advising Florida residents about the change in the law. And I had no problem with what he said. He was flat out up front. If you want open carry, open carry. Just understand that if you do, there are still private property laws in the state of Florida, et cetera, and you could be charged with a felony if you don't leave, that type of thing. It was not a negative statement at all. Now, right. So I'm looking forward to seeing your piece.
Whatever I'm bouncing off, and I can't remember it. But whatever he said really got under my skin. And he made clear that he's not a fan of open carry because he says you give up the tactical advantage.
No, he did say
And
that.
I just don't agree
did.
with that.
He did say that. In fact,
I don't agree with that. I open carry in Arizona in an In-N-Out burger restaurant all the time. And guess what? I don't give up anything. And what I do, though, is I got quick access to a gun. And so I just don't agree with that. And my question for him is going to be in the piece, how does a sheriff who open carries, how's he going to tell me that if I open carry, I give up tactical advantage? He open carries.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking forward.
Why does he carry concealed?
I'm looking forward to seeing that. I can't wait to see that piece because you and I will talk about it during the week privately and maybe bring it to the airwaves. It's going to be an interesting piece. Now, what's interesting in Florida, every state that you mentioned, with the exception of Florida, has been open carry for quite some time. You talked about Oklahoma, Kentucky, Arizona, et cetera, Texas. And of course, I can drive to all of those places and open carry anywhere I go en route in any of those states from where I sit in an open carry state as well. Now, this is all new to Florida. And this is where Giffords and the rest are going to try to take advantage of this because they're all, you see the billboards that go up. Watch out, stay out of Florida. Florida just passed whatever. Okay, so they're going to use this. They're going to try to, and I'll say as a tactical advantage politically. But AWR, I'm going to predict right now on the airwaves, it's going to backfire. And you're listening in a number of cities in Florida today. It's going to backfire, but they will try, and they will try hard to play on people's fears because Florida has not seen open carry ever. So it's new. Do you believe, like I do, that it fails them miserably?
Oh, yeah. Well, because it's failed miserably everywhere. Every state that has adopted constitutional carry, and it has included open carry in almost every state, they've said the same thing. Blood in the streets, shootouts, violence, blah, blah,
blah.
The
Wild West is what they like to claim.
Yeah, what happens is that criminals figure out, holy cow, law-abiding citizens are armed. We better check it. And that's what's going to happen in Florida. It's not going to be any different. You can bet the farm on it. And it's happened too many times. We're at 29 constitutional carry states, and if it hadn't happened 28 times, you could say the 29th. Who knows? But we know exactly how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And Giffords is nothing but the group is they're saying what they say, much like Chuck Schumer and AOC do. They're saying what they're saying just so they can keep getting those donations.
Yeah.
But they even know it's not going to be this way. They know it's not going to be this way.
Now, just another reek of desperation from the Democrats. And I did have some questions from folks, and I do want to point this out. While Florida did legalize through that District Court of Appeal, First District Court of Appeal decision, and the Attorney General Utmeyer saying open carry is now the law of the land, that does not make 30 states. Florida was the 29th state.
Yeah, it makes 29 states.
Correct. It doesn't change that number. It just adds open carry to the mix, as you pointed out in some of your opening comments here when we started this segment. I want to make that clear. The state that will become 30 will be North Carolina if they are successful, and I believe that vote, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's coming up on around the 25th, coming up this week, for the override of the veto in North Carolina that could see us at that 30th state. Am I right on that? It's this month.
It's 25th or 26th. Okay. I can't remember, but you're right. You're right there on it.
Okay, so folks, we'll know about North Carolina. That will be the 30th state. I know Greg is going to tell us that we're taking a break here in a second, so 30. Let me take this to the break, AWR, and then we'll come back to you. We've got you for one more segment. I want to talk about the delicate and soft apprehension of Charlie Kirk's murderer. You've written a great piece about that at Breitbart News. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be departing on the 26th, coming up this week, the Gun Rights Policy Conference, 26th, 27th, and 28th. Actually, I'll be departing the 25th. But I will be emceeing the event all day Saturday. So make sure to visit us in Salt Lake City. It is free to attend. You still have plenty of time to do it. All you've got to do is get yourself to Salt Lake. We've got great room rates for you. All of the events of the weekend are free. Come out and meet me, AWR Hawkins. Paul Markel, student of the gun, is going to be there. His son will be there. Lee Williams will be there. Lots of politicians will be there. Alan Gottlieb will be there, and many, many, many others. Cam Edwards will be there. Masad Ayub. Come say hello if you can do it. Gun Rights Policy Conference, 26th, 27th, and 28th this week. We'll be back with AWR.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. And let me throw this out there. I had been saying for the longest time, attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. That landing page is not there. But you're smart enough to figure out if you use the AAR promo code. So let me correct myself here. It is attorneysonretainer.us and use the AAR promo code, okay? So if you were one that maybe got in there and didn't find that and got lost and thought, what the hell is he talking about? Well, I just fixed that for you, okay? I have my card here. If you're watching, you can see it. I'm holding it up. If you're listening, you can hear me tapping the microphone with it. I have this in my wallet, attorneysonretainer.us. Use the promo code AAR. Take $50 off the $100 sign up. And guess what? $35 a month, and you've got an entire team of attorneys. God forbid you have to use your firearm to defend your life. And if you do, and there's an investigation, which there always will be, or worse, you've got self-defense attorneys right there on retainer, just as the name says, attorney-client privilege, immediately to keep you out of trouble. Make sure to visit them. Use the AAR promo code at attorneysonretainer.us. And please take the time to visit all of our great partners. You can find them all. Goat Guns is out there for you. Centerpoint Digital is there for you. And don't forget our great online exclusive retailer, budsgunshop.com, budsgunshop.com. Check them all out. Support the businesses that support you. We'll talk more about Patriot Mobile and Car Arms and CZ and the rest throughout the program. AWR Hawkins, welcome back in, my brother.
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. So, I watched the memorial today for Charlie Kirk in Glendale. Hundreds, probably 150, 200,000 people from what I gathered, filling two arenas. And of course, the stadium where the Cardinals play was packed. And you've got a piece up. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin was treated delicate, in quotes, and soft to ensure he surrendered. He was working with a former law enforcement official that was friends of the family. And the sheriff out there said when they got to him, he was seated calmly, water bottle. They didn't, from what I understand, they didn't even cuff him because they just wanted him in custody, and they got him. Wow, I don't recall an arrest like that. He goes far enough to say that he was scared of being shot by SWAT. I mean, good heavens. Take it away.
No, I mean, you're right, but I had the same reaction you did, but then I'm not saying that you'll have a different reaction if you think about it, but I realized what they were doing.
Yeah, I
they
get
were
that.
afraid he was going to kill himself. They're afraid he's going to kill himself, so they wanted to get him in custody before he could do that. And so it's both very weak in the way it reads, and then it's very smart. So it depends on how you look at it, but they were scared that he was going to kill himself. He was going to go off in the woods. I know his parents were scared of that.
Well,
and
he did mention to his father that he just wanted to kill himself. He did mention that to his dad. So
instead of doing that, they got him,
right.
And that's what they wanted. They wanted him in custody because guess what? They want the state to take his life and not him take his life. And that's admirable. I agree with them. We need to get him in front of a firing squad, and that's how it goes. And it's just, man, this deal, Mark, you and I've talked. It's just mess. I mean,
it's horrible.
It's hard to believe Charlie Kirk is gone. It's hard to believe he's gone, and but he is. And this little punk right here did it, allegedly. And if they can prove he did it, and if a jury of his peers says he did it, they need to put him in front of the firing squad.
Yeah, now let's go a step
simple.
further because you have another headline right below that. Representative Randy Fine says, put Charlie Kirk assassin in front of a firing squad for the entire world to see. I'm in complete full agreement with that. And I think we talked about this briefly last week when you made a call during all of this mess when it was very new breaking news. But give him his due process, send him to court, give him his appeal, find him guilty, sentence him, and then put him to death. Now, look, I've made it clear. I believe in bringing back public execution. I have no problem with that whatsoever. You talk about a deterrent, and apparently Randy Fine thinks the same thing, according to your piece here.
Right. Well, and I'm not even, I'm what I'm saying is thought out. It's going to sound like I'm being, that I'm just throwing something out knee-jerk, but it's not. I think they ought to hang him naked in public and let it happen. And Just let him hang there until the birds eat whatever's tied up on the rope. And I'll guarantee you, anyone who's thinking about a copycat crime will look for another kind of crime they can copycat. They want to do this. And that's what we need to do. So not only bring back the public execution, but kill the individual nude and my whole point with that is let him be as exposed as he can be. Let him be killed publicly by the state, executed by the state, and I'll guarantee you whatever crime he or she committed will not be committed by another human purposely as a copycat. I'll guarantee it won't happen.
No, it would be the ultimate deterrent. And, there's a lot of truth to this because obviously we could talk about this far longer than we have time for right now, but I will say this. It's the state versus, or it's the federal government versus, meaning it's our taxpayer dollars versus, either at the state or both federal and state. And Fine wrote, as the people, we should be able to see we should be able to see the sentence. The assassin who took out Charlie should put in front of a firing squad for the entire world to see. Make an example of him. And then he added, as you pointed out, fire away. Now, a lot of anger here.
And he's right.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to say he's right, though. We want the whole world to go, hey, in the USA, we won't tolerate this. And that's how it is. But so I agree with Representative Fine 100%.
Yeah, well, sadly, we probably won't see that unless there's a change to Utah law. But I'll take the satisfaction and knowing that there's been an execution. Sadly, AWR, it's probably going to wind up being 6-7 years down the road. I think one of the most fastest I've ever seen was Timothy McVeigh, and I believe that was 6 or 7 years down the road.
You've got Spencer Cox is under the microscope on this, and that's the governor. I don't know. He's going to fast track this one as much as he can. That's all I'll say. And Utah is one of the only 5 states with firing squad.
Yeah, and Spencer Cox has a bright political future ahead of him. There's no doubt, and he proved that over the last 11 days.
It's its brightest if this punk kid gets executed by the state if he's found guilty. That's when it's brightest. So Spencer Cox has got to stand on this.
Hey, I don't think he won't. I think he will. If everything I've seen and heard from that man who handled this remarkably well under very difficult circumstances, because this was a public execution of Charlie Kirk. The entire world saw it and saw it in very graphic detail. And he handled himself like a champ. He really, truly did. So I would go as far as you've not seen the end of the political career of Utah Governor Cox. On the contrary, I believe you're seeing just the very beginning of what is obviously going to be a very bright career, I believe. Now, I don't know a lot more about him other than what I've witnessed. We'll have to take a dive into that. But if everything I've seen so far is any indication, he truly has a great political career ahead of him. AWR, let me take this opportunity to say thanks. Go back to doing whatever you're doing. And I know you'll have a great time doing it. AWR Hawkins Brwitbart News, ladies and gentlemen. Visit, you just got to search AWR Hawkins Brwitbart News, and you'll see an entire lineup of everything that he writes. And you can keep up with him every day. You can actually sign up for the emails, and everything he writes when it's published, right after it's published, will go right into your inbox. And you can stay up with the great AWR Hawkins, our political analyst here for many, many, many years, over at BrwitbartNews.com, BrwitbartNews.com. As I said, please visit all of our partners. You can find them all at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. Don't forget BudsGunShop.com. Crossbreed Holsters is there. Great products, businesses that support you and your lifestyle. And, of course, Patriot Mobile. We're at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. Guys, it's never been more important to support our own than it is right now. Armed American Radio will be back at 6 minutes after the hour. On the flip side, don't go away. Sheriff Kurt Hoffman.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
Mics are up.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends, because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Armed American Radio's Hour 2 on a Monster Cast begins right now. Buckle in, ladies and gentlemen. The next 2 hours fly right by. They always do. Just take my word for that. They do. Welcome inside the Car Firearms Group studios with me, Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. Greg, we are getting close to our 17th anniversary on this program, heading into our 18th year. We have never missed a Sunday show in all of that time, brother.
Yeah, that's dedication. That's a lot of Sundays in the book.
That's a lot of Sundays. I've lost count, but it's well over 800 and change of them, and we're really, really proud of that. So, guys, when I tell you to buckle in, it's going to go by fast. I know a little bit about what I'm talking about there because it really does fly by. So if you're just joining us, welcome in. If you're rejoining us, welcome back. You're in the Car Firearms Group studios with me, Mark Walters, as I said, and I'm in front of this powerful CZ USA microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch, and it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. If you are so inclined, you can join the several hundred folks that are watching us on X. Help us get those numbers up to several thousand. We do appreciate that. And follow me over at Twitter at AAR Mark, and you can watch us at Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. Greg, I'll let you tell everybody else where they can go to get all that fun stuff, participate in the chat, and we are going to go to a phenomenal hour with Sarasota County, Florida, Sitting Sheriff Kurt Hoffman. We'll do that right after you get done giving your spiel. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. You just gave them X, but they can also head over to Rumble and YouTube. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. If they want to join the live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
All right, guys, you're in for a fun one right now. Sheriff Kurt Hoffman. Kurt, Sarasota County, Florida. Boy, I tell you what, brother, I had a great conversation with you the other day. I wish we could have just taped it and put it on air, man.
We should have. Yeah, it was about 2 hours. This is only going to be an hour.
we guys, ladies and gentlemen, we covered so much ground in that call. And Kurt, this is what I love about having you on. No bullet points, no prep, no notes here. You and I know each other well. We know what's going on. We're in tune. And let me just open the conversation. Guys, you're going to hear a conversation very similar to what Kurt and I had on the phone the other day, because we've nothing to hide. We're just going to bring it to you flat out, except this one will be under FCC control. So let me just throw that out there. But Kurt, let's start with the incredible, unbelievably sad past 10 days in this country's history. And when this all unfolded, what went through your mind?
Well, I'm glad you said this is under FCC rules because our other conversation wasn't. So I'll try to mind my P's and Q's. But I think I can say, and you as well, we were pretty pissed off by it, basically. Yeah. I mean, it put me into a funk, Mark, as I'm sure it did a lot of other freedom-loving people that listen to this show and that are on this show. And to see, not unexpected, frankly, what the left and some of the liberal media has done with this, taking an opportunity to, denigrate somebody who was a kind, gentle soul. I forgot to mention to you, we were talking the other day, he has, we're talking about Charlie Kirk for anybody that's just tuning in. He has a home here in Longboat Key on the Sarasota County side of Longboat Key, and you would occasionally see him at some of the political events. And just the kindest, nicest person, didn't raise his voice, didn't point his finger at you, just
didn't have to.
Made his point. No, didn't need to. And, frankly, anybody that's watched Charlie over the years, you could see initially it's a bunch of, blue-haired freaks that were showing up at these college campuses. And then it started to turn where people were chanting his name. He was passing out a few hats. And then, this year, 2025, I think he turned the tide. There was as many people showing up to support him as that were coming to the microphone to try to defeat him, which I thought was really neat.
And they couldn't. And this is what got him killed. In fact, Musk said that today when he was asked about his murder. He said he was murdered because he was effective at what he did. And you're right. He has a place in Florida. He spent a lot of time in Florida. He spent a lot of time at Mar-a-Lago, of course, and he was very active, and Turning Point's very active. And, you know, Kurt, since you and I spoke the other day on a private call, there have been another 20,000 requests for Turning Points at universities and high schools around the country since you and I spoke just a few days ago. Over 72,000 requests.
Those numbers are going up. I think I told you here in Sarasota County, I see a number of chapters that have started. Even parents who homeschool their kids have created a chapter where homeschooled children and the parents of those kids can get together, since they're not on a traditional high school or you know, public school campus. So he's reaching places that even he didn't reach when he was alive, and I think that will be his legacy as we will continue to have this conversation. We'll have fringe folks on there who want to fight, but you know, it just strikes me, Mark, and I'm sure it does your listeners, that every time we have a situation like this, you know, we get together, hold hands, we pray, we get a little closer to the Lord, and we don't burn down our cities, we don't riot, we don't fight the police, we don't do any of that. So I think it's a very good example of, we wouldn't want to, you know, tarnish Charlie's name by doing any of that, and I've certainly not seen any of that.
You know, you bring up a great point. As the sitting sheriff, and almost a rhetorical question, you've pretty much just answered it, but I want to hear it from you in question format. Did you think, I better get my riot gear out, I better get my deputies lined up, there's going to be violence all over the streets after what happened? That never even crossed your mind, did it?
No, it didn't, Mark. And I think I've told you before, we've lived through, you know, George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, protests at our Tesla dealership. We have a very large Tesla dealership on the north end of the county, near one of our major commercial arteries up there. We have some controversial congressmen that live here. Obviously, Rumble has an office here in Sarasota County. And I didn't think about it for a minute, because we didn't have any problem with any of those other situations, because I think I've told your listeners before, we sat down and told folks, if you riot, and this is pre some of the new statutes that Governor DeSantis and the legislature have put in with rioting and blocking streets and that kind of thing. We didn't have any of that anyway. We didn't have a single nickel in damage. We had about 22 protests, probably closer to 30 if you add multiple times at the Tesla dealerships. And I think we just have a reputation for not tolerating that. And certainly this is a red county predominantly. So the folks that protested against some of that stuff also did so peacefully. So no, I didn't have any worries that we were going to have a problem. In fact, many sunset ceremonies at our beach communities the last week or so have been very peaceful, very large crowds attending. Parking was tight. Nobody pushed anybody. Nobody shoved anybody. Nobody yelled at anybody over parking. All very peaceful, honoring Charlie's memory, which I think is what he would have wanted.
No doubt. Were there any trouble? And I should probably know the answer to this before I ask it, but was there any trouble in some of the bigger cities? Tampa just to your north, Miami to your southeast, Orlando to your northeast, Jacksonville to your northeast. Were there any trouble in any of those bigger cities?
Yeah, I did see a little bit, but you know what I also saw was some of the counter protesters. I don't know if you saw in Tampa in particular, canceled. They didn't have the turnout they thought they were going to have. They knew they were going to have counter protesters in support of Charlie Kirk, and it was a fairly well covered on the news that the Tampa counter protests were canceled over 2 days actually. So maybe that's a good sign.
Yeah, Greg is going to tell us we're going to have a break here as I look at the clock, and I guess we'll just kind of take this into the next break. We'll wrap up with Charlie because I want to ask you to maybe look to the future a little bit about where we're headed after this. And, during the top of the hour break, Kurt, Greg and I were talking about this being a JFK-style moment in history for kids, my kids' age, right, in their early 20s and 30s. They'll never forget where they were.
I agree.
Yeah, and my daughter and niece were at the 2023 Turning Point in Phoenix when Charlie gave a rousing speech that I believe Trump even referenced in his talk today at the memorial. And if it wasn't Trump, someone else did, referring back to that. My kids were there. She's got photographs of it.
30.
She will look back at this moment in her life and say, I was there. I got to see Charlie Kirk speak, which is so sad because my son and my nephew who weren't there will be going in just a couple months to Phoenix, and they missed the opportunity to see Charlie. But they all know who he is. Right?
I think, right. I think some folks comparing, Charlie to JFK, they don't get that comparison. But if you think about, JFK got the presidency as a young president and captured America, and Charlie as a young man capturing the conservatives.
Well, you better believe it, and it's now on steroids. So whoever's behind this, ladies and gentlemen, and there is a whoever's behind this, failed miserably. We have 3 more segments with Sheriff Kurt Hoffman. We'll start getting in the weeds with the sheriff when we come back. Don't go away. Back right after this.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, guys, if you join or rejoin, I'm going to send you a very cool range bag for free. Free stuff is always cool. And getting a free range bag is very cool. So if you join the National Rifle Association or rejoin, and many of you are, we're going to send you a range bag. If you sign up for a 1-year or 3-year membership, you're going to get a free range bag out of the deal. And it's a great bargain. It's $35 for a 1-year membership, guys. You don't have to do anything else except the 1-year membership. We just need your numbers on those rolls. So please help us. It is critically important, particularly in the wake of what this country's gone through over the last 10 days. The other side's never going to stop. We have got to counter that, and that means you getting involved. So please take advantage of this. NRA.org/AAR, NRA.org/AAR, please, and help us. And like I said, when the giveaway is over, one of you is going to win another range bag filled with all kinds of cool swag, but we really need your numbers in here. So please join the many, many hundreds, if not thousands, that have already done it as we've been giving out these bags. Take advantage of the free stuff and join us in this fight. It is absolutely critical. The NRA is doing everything right. No looking back. Everything is looking forward. And if you're going to be at the GRPC, you're going to see Doug Hamlin. You're going to see a couple others from the National Rifle Association that will be there. Both men have been on this program before. You can come out and meet them. And by the way, Ryan Petty himself will be there. He texted me to let me know. You didn't mention me in the last one. He said he wanted me to let people know that he will be there also. Parkland Dad. We talk with him all the time. So please join us. Let's go back to Sarasota County Sheriff Kurt Hoffman, our good friend. Kurt, welcome. Welcome back, my friend. And let's now move to, well, let me give you the final word on the Charlie Kirk thing. One quick question for you. With everything that you're seeing in the wake of this tragedy, this murder, this assassination, with what we're seeing with Turning Point, you may or may not have seen any of the memorial today. Millions around the world watched it, myself included. I feel pretty good about the direction we're going. And I by that, I mean, I think we're going to grow our numbers in the midterm. I think that historical, party in power losing, I think Americans have turned a page here. I think this is a turning point. That's my gut feel. I'd like to know yours before we go forward.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more, Mark. I think that this is going to be a chance for us not to lose the midterms like we typically do. And I don't know how with this kind of momentum, and more particularly reaching the youth groups that Charlie reached in the youth population. I mean, Trump said it many times, he probably would not be in office, and the vice president said he would not be vice president had it not been what Charlie Kirk started. And to think what he started is now going to grow into something exponentially even bigger than that. And that coupled, I think, with the Dems, leaning typically into the issues that they support, and Kathy Hochul coming out against or for the communist that's running up in New York there. I think this is all turning in our favor. I don't think we want to count our chickens before they're hatched, but I'm very optimistic that between the Dems, further leaning left and some of the candidates they're supporting, and Charlie's network growing, and his wife Erica bravely willing to step into the breach and take that on, I think we're in a really good place.
I agree with you. And what I don't want is people to get complacent, right? We talked about that after Trump's election. Now, okay, Trump's in office. This is not a time to get complacent. This is the time to step on the gas. And we're now at a point now where we've got to keep our lead foot on the accelerator here. And with everything that Charlie Kirk built, take advantage of the momentum. That's a great word, as you just pointed out, as we go forward. So it's critically important, ladies and gentlemen, and we need your help in all aspects. You've got to be involved in order to do that. All right, let's go to Florida now. Wow, Florida. First, let me say congratulations and welcome to the real world, Sheriff, for the first time in a long time. I had predicted that with tourism bureaus and everything else. I just was not expecting, as many people got caught off guard with that first court, the District Court of Appeals in the first district, ruling post-Bruin that open carry was blatantly unconstitutional. And, of course, you've got Utmeyer. Republicans have supermajorities. Got DeSantis in there. And Utmeyer said, it's now the law of the land. Grady Judd put a video out. Now, your county, you've got Manatee just to your north and just right there. You don't border Polk County where Grady Judd is, but Hillsborough and Manatee, just 2 counties north of you, do. But right. you know Grady well. And he put a video out. I had no problem with his video. He was just reminding people what the law is because open carry is new to Floridians. How do you, as the sheriff, what do you think is going to happen? Or do we need lift kits on our trucks because Gabby Gifford's out there running them out? It's going to be blood on streets again. How many times have we seen that?
Well, Mark, if we had $1 for every time that, these groups say that there's going to be, blood in the streets, then you and I wouldn't need to be on the radio, would we? Because they say that a lot. And
none of us would be left if that were true, by the way.
Yeah, none of us would be left. Yeah, so I've heard that before as well. And, you laughingly referred to Florida as the gunshine state, and that there was going to be blood in the streets when we did away with concealed carry. You don't have to have a concealed carry permit anymore. And now we've got a complete, unconstitutional statute out there. And the First District Court of Appeals came along and just leg swept it and said it is uniformly across the board, that entire section, Chapter 790 here in Florida, is unconstitutional. And I think I told you, we were talking the other day, I went back and being an attorney, and I'm a little bit of a nerd on some of this stuff, I went back and watched all of the oral arguments on McDaniels. Those three judges, that three-panel judge from the First District Court of Appeals, which is Tallahassee, did a very good job. They walked through if anybody's got 45 minutes to watch it, a very thorough historical application, Heller, McDonald, Bruin, and just walk through all of the historical applications where firearms were permitted. And frankly, they really backed the two lawyers for the Attorney General's office into a corner. And they did the best they could do to make the argument, but clearly it is unconstitutional. And like you started to say there, we have a majority of Republicans in the legislature, Republican governor, and it took Mr. McDaniels to stand out there on a street in Pensacola and 3 years of his life, because I think that was mid-2022 when he was begging, Pensacola police to arrest him. But we have it, and we have it now, and everything's fine. There's not been fighting in the streets. People are not pointing guns at each other. Anybody who points a firearm in a rude or careless manner, that statute is still valid. In some of the sensitive areas, those statutes are still valid. And as you and I talked the other day, and as Grady, I think, was appropriately just warning people, you better know the places you still can't carry. And if you're a person who carries openly, just be aware that tactically you may give up the element of surprise. So I thought everything that Grady said was factual, and I know some friends of you and I were a little upset about that. It's a very factual statement, and I think as sheriffs we have a responsibility too to let people know that there still are restrictions and that what they can and can't do, and just to be prudent. And I always throw in there if you want to carry a firearm. It's not mandated, but you should get yourself some training, and you should practice with your firearm, and you should use your firearm, and you should draw your firearm and fire your firearm, and try to use different holsters, and just make sure that you're competent in it when you need to defend yourself or someone else.
That's just prudent advice. We're going to take an even deeper dive when we come back with Sheriff Kurt Hoffman, Sarasota County, Florida Sheriff. We've got him for 2 more segments for the full hour. Hope you're enjoying it as much as we are bringing it to you. We'll be back with Sheriff Kurt Hoffman right after the break. Don't go away. Guys, if any of you in the chat have any questions, or on X, Facebook, we'll try to get to all of them. But if you have any questions, wherever you're watching, in whatever forum you're in, or listening to the program, watching or listening, for Sheriff Kurt Hoffman, let me know. Those of you in Telegram and on X, go ahead and type those in if you want. Be more than happy to bring up some questions for him. As I said, we do have a question that Greg's been chomping at the bit to ask, and we'll go to that question next. And Greg, if you want to ask it, go right ahead. I'll turn it over to you when we come back.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as I was walking over to the restroom, and I half expect there almost to be a response of, well, you still broke the existing law as it existed, and so there is really no recourse, even though that law has now been overturned.
I wouldn't frame it that way. All right, guys, we're coming back to you here in 25 seconds.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher wanting to let you know that the crew of the Desperado Sport Fish in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and the Second Amendment, and I'm right there with them. Now back to Mark Walters.
Yeah, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're halfway down with Armed American Radio's Monstercast already, believe it or not. And I'm sitting here with you in the Car Firearms Group studios in front of the CZ microphone here at the Patriot Mobile Command Center. Don't forget PatriotMobile.com. They are the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. Patriot Mobile. What does that tell you? If you're watching, you can see I'm wearing the Patriot Mobile hat. I love this. I got to keep it away from my wife and kids because they're trying to steal it from me all the time. No, this belongs to Dad. The crown has spoken. Take it or die. PatriotMobile.com is the real deal. PatriotMobile.com. Use the promo code AAR when you visit PatriotMobile.com/AAR, or use the promo code at the website, and you're going to get a free month of activation. PatriotMobile.com. Many of you might be looking at new phones because the new iPhone's out and all that fun stuff. Be a perfect time for you to switch over to Patriot Mobile. You can do it piecemeal, phone by phone by phone. You don't have to do it all at one time, depending on how many phones you owe money on. Trust me, I get it. I was unable to move all of the phones, all 5, so we're doing it piecemeal at AAR Ranch, at Patriot Mobile Ranch. So make sure to check them out, PatriotMobile.com/AAR. Sheriff Kurt Hoffman, Sarasota County, Florida. Welcome back, my friend. So I want to get into the weeds with you a little bit. Greg has had this question for quite some time, and I haven't known how to answer it because I don't know the numbers. Maybe you can help us out here. Greg, I'm going to turn it over to you. Now that we're talking, ladies and gentlemen, that open carry is the law of the land in Florida. Now, something that kind of hit us out of nowhere with that First District Court of Appeal ruling the other day. None of us were expecting that ruling the day that it came out, but we're damn glad that it happened because Florida is now back to being the gunshine state. Welcome to the real world, all of you living in Florida. Welcome to the crowd. It's about time. Greg, your question for Sheriff Kurt Hoffman.
Yeah, absolutely, Sheriff. My question spawns from seeing a lot of interaction on social media. Oftentimes, you'll see people participating in open carry while they were fishing or maybe while they were hunting and they were traveling between their vehicle, whatever. But most of the time, it was fishing. and they get approached by sheriff's deputies or city police or something to that effect, and a great big stink would be brought about them open carrying their firearm, even though it was lawful within the state. And my question is, how many people that had fallen into trouble and ended up arrested, ended up having a day in court, probably convicted of some sort, and now that law has been decidedly unconstitutional, do those people have recourse in order to fix their background now because that law was unconstitutional all along?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Greg. Let me try to unpack that. I mean, obviously, folks carried openly, as you mentioned, fishing, hunting, and then we extended that to during emergency situations such as hurricanes. So, here in Florida and in our county in particular, we never had an issue with that. And some folks, I think, wanted to try to provoke law enforcement, and did over on the East Coast. I can remember over in Miami and Miami Beach, up the East Coast over there. There were some folks who were walking to a fishing pier, were approached by police officers, not deputy sheriffs, and eventually, I think that there was a scuffle and there were some arrests that were made. And I'm sure those folks are probably going to have a pretty good case. They were standing on a fishing pier with a long gun and a fishing pole. I think it comes down to a couple of things, Greg. You've got to educate your workforce too, right? When this came out, the first call I got was from our good friend, the gun writer, Lee Williams, and I told Lee I had already put an email out as soon as the court case came out, and my general counsel forwarded it to all of our watch commanders, and then we have a very good methodology to push that communication down the line. Now, smaller agencies or even larger agencies, that's harder to do, but I think sheriffs and chiefs should make every effort to inform their employees of what the current status of the law is. Now, with regard to those that got convicted, and I'll add one other layer to this, there are probably some pending cases around the state where their case has yet to be adjudicated. My guess is, speaking as a former prosecutor, those cases will probably be what we call null prost, right?
Sure,
They will be dropped. That would be my guess. Now, as it relates to those that got convicted, remember, every legislative session, there's probably 100 new statutes that we've got to learn. And literally, you could be arrested for a law that is valid on a Thursday and invalid, on a Friday. So as long as the statute was in effect and the law was valid, then you have probable cause to arrest the person, those arrests are lawful. Now, I think what state attorneys are probably going to do is go back and null pros those charges. But for the folks that are convicted, they have the opportunity to file for expungement. If they meet certain criteria, they can get that expunged. And I think under this situation where they were, arrested, charged, and perhaps convicted pretty close to this being declared unconstitutional, I can't imagine that there would be any state attorney's office or law enforcement agency that would not be in favor of those folks being able to expunge the record. And what does that mean? It means every record of that arrest, if they meet the criteria, including my reports, my interviews, my booking photo, any documents created by the state attorney's office, all of those are to be expunged and destroyed. So there are two things they can do there: either get it null prost if it's still active, expunge it if they've already been convicted of it.
And it'd probably end up overturned or expunged if they had appealed, and then the case came down from the Supreme Court, and then it's like, oh, well, here, this just resolved this issue for us altogether. You were convicted, you appealed, and now it's saying it's unconstitutional. I could totally see that being an issue as well, because you brought up there's probably still some pending cases out there.
Yeah, and that's a good finer point even more, Greg. There are some criminal convictions pending, and there's probably some appeals, much like Mr. McDaniel's, that are pending. And since the appeal is pending, the case is still alive, my guess those charges would be dropped as well, which raises another interesting issue. Mark mentioned our Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, and great guy, very Second Amendment. And when you look at the posture of how this McDaniels case got there, and then you watch the oral arguments, and they didn't have much of an argument to make, I haven't talked to the Attorney General. I'll see him next month. I'm going to ask him. My guess is he let this case go forward so that we would have an appellate ruling. If he dropped it and they got rid of the charges at the lower level, and Mr. McDaniels didn't get to have his appeal heard, then we wouldn't have this this unconstitutional ruling as it relates to open carry. So I think the Attorney General probably let this one go.
I would agree,
hoping that this would be the result. Yeah.
Because he knew we're in a post-Bruen environment, and he knew that. So this was well played by Florida. It was. You also had a lot of pressure from DeSantis to get an open carry bill on his desk while this case was pending as well. So I would tend to agree with you.
He's been pushing that for sure, and I can just tell the way that the Attorney General came out with his memo, dear law enforcement, this is the law of the land. It's almost like he had that thing on his computer screen ready to print when this ruling came back. And remember, the government was trying to rely on the Florida Supreme Court case of Norman, which upheld open carry. And I think, obviously, when the Norman case came out of the Florida Supreme Court, Bruen had not been ruled upon yet. So I think the first Court of Appeal case will stand. It won't go to the Florida Supreme Court because Bruen wasn't in play, and I don't think they want to take that. And the makeup of the Florida Supreme Court is significantly different with Governor DeSantis's appointments, and obviously we know where the governor stands. So I think this is the law of the land, will be the law of the land, and that's a good thing.
And let's also point this out before the break, too, Kurt, that Florida is reliably red for the foreseeable future. And I just don't see this. Once it becomes the law, and it is now, trying to reverse this would be a monumental shift in the Florida legislature to try to do this. And I just don't see that happening. But we could be wrong, doubtful, but we know. Guys, we're taking a break, Kurt. When we come back, we've got one more segment with Sheriff Kurt Hoffman. Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. Great conversation. We'll be right back. All right, I think that answered your question. Mics are still alive. It was what I expected. And he was right, as we were talking, Greg, during the break, that most of this occurred in some of the blue counties where, you saw a lot of that down in the Miami-Dade area, kind of around New Smyrna Beach, and you saw it again up around the Jacksonville area. And once you get up into Duval County, Dade County, those were very blue counties. But I think the education is in place right now. Utmeyer's statement was pretty firm. Guys, we'll take another break as we do, and we'll see you in just about 3.5 minutes.
If you own a firearm, you know that a self-defense incident can happen anytime. That's why you need Attorneys on Retainer. They're the only self-defense program backed by real attorneys who specialize in self-defense cases. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Welcome back, guys. I've got my Attorneys on Retainer card in my hand. And if you carry a gun, you know evil is real. You know you may have to use it. You don't want to, but you might have to. And I can promise you, and, you know, hey, Sheriff Kurt Hoffman, jump in here with me. If there's a self-defense shooting, there's likely going to be an investigation, is there not?
There is, but we've got a very broad stand your ground law here, and my deputies are instructed that if somebody meets that criteria, then they're not going to be treated like a criminal.
No, but
exercising their right to protect themselves.
But the investigation to determine that has to be had first. And guys, that's when you want this, because you're not entitled to an attorney by law during an investigation, only when charged. And what you want to do is keep yourself from being charged. And God forbid you do get charged, you're going to want the best attorney you can find. And I can promise the best attorney you can find is going to cost you more per hour than $35 a month times 12. Do you understand what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? Attorneys on Retainer. Just a smart move, okay? Attorneysonretainer.us. The promo code is AAR. Take advantage of it. You can find them and all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com. So, Kurt, fun conversation with you. A great question from Greg and a great answer, and I do appreciate it very much. I do want to kick back to what Grady Judd had to say. Greg and I were talking about Grady a little bit during the break. You know, and he's the king of the one-liners, right? You know, Sheriff, why'd you shoot him 65 times? Because we ran out of bullets, okay? You come here and commit a crime, we're going to shoot you graveyard dead. You break into somebody's house, this is the Second Amendment county. They're going to shoot you graveyard dead, okay? Everybody loves that stuff. And here's my advice, and this is where I want to take it. If you live in Florida, take this victory. This is a huge win. Don't if this, don't wonder about what this, take this victory. It will work itself out. It is new to Florida. Okay, and I think there might be some growing pains here from time to time, because we saw it here, right? You got somebody who's not informed, and they see somebody walk into a Publix in Sarasota, right? And they don't know about the law. This guy's got a gun. Do you anticipate getting calls like that? I would guess you probably would.
Well, I know I checked, since the McDaniels case came out, we've not had any calls of that nature. But we did instruct our deputies in the legal bulletin that we put out that obviously private property trumps, right? So if somebody comes onto your private property, whether that's the AAR ranch or whether that's Publix or whatever, those folks have property rights. So you don't get to exercise your constitutional rights on property that you don't own. Now, I think, with all of the open carry that we had during hurricanes to and from some of the hunting areas that we have in our county and the county to the south of us, and a lot of folks carrying while they're fishing, it's not uncommon to see that already. Now we're going to see more of that. And as I told you when we were talking the other night, Mark, I think the other byproduct of this ruling by the court, long overdue, is that some of those folks who pretend to be Second Amendment supporters, we'll see whether they are or not, because I know there is already some. Yeah, there's some scuttlebutt out there that this, went too far, and why did they overrule it? And it's long overdue. This court did their research. They did the historical application. Anytime you can read a case or watch oral argument and they refer to, Alexander Hamilton's number 29 in the Federalist Papers, that's good stuff. I mean, they went deep into history. So I don't think we're going to have any problem whatsoever here. The governor just handed down a Second Amendment sales tax holiday this month, and it goes all the way through to December 31st. Been very well received here in Florida. So I think this case coming out with our Second Amendment sales tax holiday running through December 31st,
boom,
we'll probably have some folks buying some guns, buying some ammunition, buying some holsters. Florida will be fine. These kind of things never really seem to have any kind of a significant ripple effect here, just because of as you mentioned, we were 1.5 million plus Republicans, pretty much a red state, supermajority in the legislature. Other states are going to have growing pains for sure. We may have some too, but other states that probably not as conservative as Florida would have more issues. But I'm not anticipating any. I know we have a large contingent, as I've said before, in our workforce that are former military, all different branches of the military. Those guys and gals have been all over the world carrying guns. It's not uncommon for them. I think our workforce will be just fine.
Yeah, and you do bring up a great point. Some of the growing pains that might occur, and as you know, I lived in Florida for many years. We got married there. My kids were born there. A lot of firsts in Florida for me. Started my first businesses down there. So I know it well, and I travel down there a lot. I'm not, you don't see a whole lot of signage in Florida, private property that says no guns allowed. I mean, concealed carry is just expected in Florida. It's just always been that way. It's not like Arizona where you go to downtown Scottsdale, you might as well not even take your gun if you're planning on following the law because you can't get into any of the restaurants down there and have a drink or eat dinner because there's a ton of them that have the no gun signs. You don't tend to see that in Florida. I'm curious if you're going to see some of those private property owners who have allowed concealed carry for years to all of a sudden change their tune. Is that kind of what you were referring to see if those people are they going to really show their Second Amendment arses here or their butt in the middle of it somewhere by maybe now banning open carry or banning carry altogether because they just don't want to deal with it?
Well, I was referring more to law enforcement who are a little bit wishy-washy on that. But to your point as to businesses, Mark, I mean, corporate America, they're probably going to push back. And I say Publix. I don't want to disparage Publix. They're a very good employer here in Florida. But the big companies probably will. But your mom and pop, your barbecue place, where you get lunch, sporting goods stores, that kind of thing. I think, I have property up in South Carolina. They've had open carry for a number of years up there. I see it everywhere I go. Nobody seems to be up in arms about it. And I think down here, really only if somebody is on somebody's property that for a variety of reasons, maybe they've got kids, whatever, they don't want it, then you need to respect people's property rights. But I think you're going to see a fair amount of businesses that are going to be acceptive of that just because of the political culture that we have here. I know the places I go to, the places I eat, the places I shop, probably similar to you and your listeners. You kind of know Joe behind the counter. You know who owns the businesses. Some of those folks, are at the gun range with me. I see them. So, I'm not going down to the vegetarian counter, down in the city. Right. I'm usually out east getting a burger at one of the other joints. So, but to your point, some businesses may want to restrict it, and we should respect their private property rights. And frankly, they're probably going to lose some business over it if that's the way they're going to treat people.
Yeah, a smart business person's not going to make that call, particularly if they've already been allowing concealed carry. And that goes back to Grady Judd's point, which is why I didn't want to waste your time with the open carry, concealed carry. That's a tactical decision debate that we could argue all day long. Grady was just simply informing people what the laws, and I personally had nothing against what Grady said at all. Sheriff Kurt, we love you, man.
I didn't either.
Thank you for such a great hour, man. I appreciate it. And thanks again, I'll say it publicly, for the 2.5 hours we spent the other day that was not FCC friendly. I wish we could have brought that to the airwaves, but
that was a good conversation. I appreciate you having me on.
We love you. Sheriff Kurt Hoffman, sitting sheriff there in Sarasota County, Florida. He is the real deal. Ladies and gentlemen, sheriffs, don't you wish you had a sheriff like that in your neck of the woods, particularly if you live in a blue state? You know what? There is a free America out there, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, the vast majority of the country is free. Remember, there are no blue states, just blue cities, right? Armed American Radio's Monstercast continues after the break. In about 6 minutes, we'll be back with the Classic Roundtable. Don't go away. That was a great conversation with Sheriff Kurt.
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to get
Oh.
like firsthand knowledge on what's going on over there when we're just reading articles about groundbreaking
Right.
news.
Yeah, you got the guy that's making the rules, that's running the case, the most powerful man in the county. And, we're friends with a lot of sheriffs. Wayne Ivey down there on the East Coast, of course. I need to get him back on the program. It's been too long. And, of course, Maricopa County Sheriff Jerry Sheridan, just elected.
All
We
right.
love Jerry Sheridan in Maricopa.
Oh, yeah, we had Jerry on the show.
Yeah, and I was going to buy. He's been so busy with what's going on in Maricopa right now because with Charlie Kirk and everything being from Maricopa County, I have not bothered him because I know he's working 28 hours a day.
Yeah.
No doubt. But we'll reach back out to him when things begin to settle down somewhat. And next time I'm in Arizona, he and I will get together for dinner again like we did before. We'll meet up in Cave Creek or something like that. But we'll get him back on the program as soon as possible. And, of course, Mark Daniels down in Cochise County.
Yep.
And some others. So these are great guys. And honestly, I have an okay sheriff here where I'm at. But this is a guy that still, I won't name his name, but still didn't respond to me about turning my county into a Second Amendment sanctuary. I couldn't get a response from his office at all. Which I thought was kind of uncool because I could bring to bear a little bit of pressure there. I chose not to do that. If I need or want a fully automatic firearm, he'll sign off on it for me in 2 seconds flat. He's very pro-gun. So I didn't want to jump on him about that. I was just curious as to, I guess they just didn't want to jump into that political debate at the time. But, I know a lot of the police chiefs and stuff. And when you've got a guy like Kurt Hoffman that's running the show, wow. I mean, everybody needs a sheriff like these guys. It was great stuff. So, Kurt, if you're still tuned in, thank you. That was fantastic, and I'll reach out to you here in just a couple minutes. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back at 6 minutes after the hour with a classic roundtable with Justin Moon, CEO of Car Arms, Parkland father Ryan Petty, and, of course, Brad Premo, combat vet, and former law enforcement. We'll be back right after this, guys. Don't go away.
This is Armed American Radio.
If they want to take my guns, they're going to have to bring a station wagon and a whole lot of friends because I'm not giving them anything.
From the Car Firearms Group studio at the Patriot Mobile Communication Center. Proudly presented to you by the National Rifle Association. National Rifle Association. Here is your host of Armed American Radio, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting for your rights, Mark Walters.
Wow, Greg. Hour 3.
Here we
on
are.
us already. Good heavens. Guys, if you're just joining us, no matter where you are on hundreds of radio stations around the nation, welcome in. If you missed the first 2 hours, make sure to grab the podcast. You can subscribe to Armed American Radio, of course, on any of your favorite podcast platforms. Do that. 2 great hours of radio for the first 2 hours. Last hour was great. I want to publicly thank Sheriff Kurt Hoffman. He's the real deal. Guys,
he did a great job.
Oh, man. And he does a great job as sheriff. I mean, imagine.
I'm sure.
Can you imagine somebody behind the blue wall? What a breath of fresh air Sheriff Kurt Hoffman would be.
Well, it's nice to ask
your county, man. Good.
Nice to ask him questions like the one that we did there in the third segment,
and get a straight answer.
And well, he's had the experience as a prosecutor and as an attorney, so he can comment on that process and probably give you more of a straightforward answer than a lot of sheriffs that have never practiced law before in their life.
Yeah, and Greg is referring, of course, to the question about will people who were openly carrying legally under Florida statutes prior to the new open carry now in place in Florida, the sheriff said likely that would be expunged. And he gave us a rundown. So make sure if you missed it, go back and get it. We'll have the podcast up for you here in about an hour and 15, 20 minutes. All right. So let me say this. Welcome inside the Car Firearms Group studios. Mark Walters filling your prescription for freedom today and every day. CZ microphone on fire tonight. Always is here at the Patriot Mobile Ranch. And every single minute of it is brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Make sure to join them at nra.org/AAR and take advantage of the free stuff we're giving you to join or renew. We need your help right now. We are live on Facebook.com/Armed American Radio. And Greg, I'll let you tell everybody where they can watch and get involved in that chat. And we'll go through the rundown. And we're going to go to Justin Moon first because we missed him last week.
Yeah, sure. You can also watch the show over on YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. At X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, then select your watch live or listen live option. And to join our live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
That'll do it. Thank you very much, guys. Let's introduce the crew. Brad Premo, welcome in, brother. Great to have you here, as always.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, and I appreciate you being here every single week. We love you. Everybody at this table is a fan favorite for a reason. Parkland Dad Ryan Petty, welcome in, brother. Always a pleasure. How are you?
I'm doing well. Great to be here, my friend.
Always a pleasure, brother. And, of course, you're down in Florida, so we have some questions for you. And, of course, the CEO of Car Arms. This is the Car Firearms Group Studios, Justin Moon. How you doing, Justin? Welcome back and welcome home, I guess I should say.
Yep, doing good, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
So you flew where, Taiwan?
I was in Taiwan. See my brother, and I have vendors out there, too, so I was looking for some new vendors for our supply chain.
Always working, Justin. We missed you last week, and, of course, the Charlie Kirk garbage that's been occurring, and I'm really looking forward to getting your opinion because we missed it last week. A number of days have gone by. It doesn't really matter where in the world you were. I'm sure you know, and you were here when it happened anyway. But nonetheless, I really want to get your take on this tragic assassination. What does Justin Moon think about this? What went through your mind when you first heard about it, Justin?
Well, Charlie is a man who probably would have been president. They killed the future president of our country, and so that's a very tragic loss. And he's gone from being a political figure to being an American martyr.
Yeah.
We pray for his family, and
well,
we hope the best for this country. We pray that we may heal.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Justin, we've got another 3 years of the left going absolutely bonkers, and I have no idea how they're going to handle the remaining 3 years because they really are showing their asses right now. Many of them are. And that event in Arizona today, that memorial, should have had Democrat leaders there. It should have been a bipartisan, but it wasn't. And in today's day and age, I guess, Ryan, I'll go to you. That's not to be expected or unexpected, however you want to frame that. You can frame it either way, I guess, depending on how you want to look at it. But you probably saw some of the memorial or at least heard about it, listened to some of it. Your thoughts on what happened today?
I did, and it was amazing. I mean, we look at the pictures and the video. First of all, just how many people went there.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a video, Mark, of people on airplanes singing Amazing Grace, breaking out, on the airplane on the way to the memorial. I've got video here. I was watching just outside the stadium. A very young crowd. I mean, Charlie was talking to the youth of America in a way that many of them never got in school from their teachers, right? They never heard about the positive side of America, the beauty of America, the freedoms that we have, and just absolutely amazing. I agree with Justin. I think Charlie could have been president someday, and
no doubt.
And we've lost. But look, we're all sitting here talking about how do we move forward and how do we go on. And no one's burning cities. We're not looting targets. We're not tearing down infrastructure. We're not calling for the removal of the police. That's not how we do this. We're going to move forward and move on like conservatives always do. But not surprised at all Democrats weren't there, Mark. But look, this is the logical outcome of the rhetoric that they've been using ever since Donald Trump came here. This is... I wouldn't go as far as saying any of them actually wanted this specific thing to happen, but they do hope that there's violence. I mean, look at Antifa. They've got their foot soldiers out there. They've been wreaking havoc, causing violence and killing conservatives for years now. This is what they want.
Yeah, we're at a point now, Brad, to your point, Ryan. Brad, let me take this to you, that had any of them shown up, they'd have been booed out. And they wouldn't at this point because the political charge is just so high right now, Brad. And it's a sad state of affairs, brother.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think any of them really had the decency to even consider going. One thing that Charlie Kirk's death has done is if your eyes are open and you're drawing breath, like, you can no longer pretend that this is a both sides problem, or that that we can make friends with the left, or that the left is anything other than evil incarnate. I mean, it's stark. It's clear as day, night and day. And the Charlie Kirk's death, it's a morality test, a very simple one. All you have to do is just be 100% against murder, assassination, and political violence. And honestly, about half the country failed that test miserably, and they've shown it every day for like the past week or so.
Oh, and the polls, there are polls that are showing that as well too. And it's a very scary number, and that goes back to desensitization, Justin. That's the desensitization of treating your political opponents dehumanized. The Democrats have been experts at this for years and years and years with the rhetoric, the whole Nazi thing and everything else, comparing us to Hitler. Okay, and it's beginning to show itself right now. And all I can do is like you just said, Justin, is pray that the country's able to heal going forward. And I have a feeling, just a gut feel, Justin. I don't know why. But I have a feeling, I'll use this word again because it fits, but the turning point, we are at a turning point in this country, Justin. And I believe the left knows that. That's why they're so far in the tank and they can't even find a leader. They're talking about AOC running. Okay, run her. Have at it. Give her the nomination as far as I'm concerned. They're on the wrong side of every issue, Justin. I could go in a million different directions here, but I'll turn it over to you.
Well, Mark, we are all Charlie Kirk now. What we need to do is up and speak our minds as he did. And if somebody puts a bullet in us, another one of us will stand up and take his place.
Trump said that tonight, and Ryan, you were watching too. He said something very similar to what Justin just said. We are all Charlie Kirk. He said Charlie Kirk was shot, but the bullet was meant for all of us. And those are Trump's words today. 30 seconds, but I think he was spot on with that.
He absolutely was. I mean, look, they went after Trump too. look, the things that they, the rhetoric that they use against conservatives, half the country they believe are Nazis, fascists. I mean, look what they call us. We can't even have a political dialogue. And you take somebody like Charlie Kirk, who was out there engaging. I watched a clip on Instagram earlier today, Mark, Van Jones talking about he was literally shaking because Charlie Kirk had reached out to him to have a conversation, and they put a bullet in him.
That was after a huge online Twitter spat that Charlie Kirk and Van Jones were having. Maybe we'll discuss part of that when we come back. We'll be back with the crew. Don't go away. 3 more segments for the classic Armed American Radio Roundtable with the boys.
You can't have
perfect for that drop. I knew you were going to put that in there. Thanks for doing that. Well played.
Well, we're close to close.
Well, guys, you heard Greg say close to close. Hadn't heard that in a while. Started getting hot in here to run that AC down.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yes, welcome back. And by all means, join today, please. We're going to send you a range bag, or we're going to send you binoculars. You're going to get something free for joining or rejoining the National Rifle Association. And with everything going on in this country, the division is real, ladies and gentlemen. And you heard that rejoin, or I can't say it was a rejoin, but you heard when we were leaving for the break, Greg played that famous clip on Armed American Radio from Neil McCabe, who was with us for many, many years in the Roundtable and may come back from time to time as a guest on occasion, who said if you can't have dinner with them, how are you supposed to have a country with them? The political divide is real. So how do you combat that? You do that by supporting the businesses that support you. Take a look at what's going on with Turning Point. If all of us join in, we're unstoppable. We know they're never going to quit. We can do it the right way. Join groups that support you and your lifestyle. National Rifle Association, NRA.org. Use the AAR promo code or NRA.org/AAR. Let us send you the free range bag for a 1 year or 3-year membership, new membership or renewal, doesn't matter. And 5 years to life, either of those two options, get you the 10x42 binoculars. Take advantage of the free stuff, and please add your name to the rolls. We need your help in this fight. We truly do. Welcome back to the Car Firearms Group studios with me. You can find all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com. CZ Mike lit up for you here at the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center. Ryan, we closed out with you. I'm going to move on because time is just going to get away from us. Brad, did you want to add anything to what you heard from Justin and Ryan relative to the Charlie Kirk deal and some of the closing comments in the last segment before we move on?
I'll point out one, Stephen Miller's speech was worth looking up and listening to.
Yes, it was.
I think he hits the nail right squarely on the head, as he often does. Also, just point out the contrast of the people speaking today had to stand behind bulletproof glass. Mm-hmm. The trash that was protesting outside, they had no fear of anything happening to them. That's another demonstration of the differences between these two sides.
Can't have dinner with them. How do you have a country with them? Justin, I'll go to you with this new topic, and we'll go around the table as we always do. Published on September 19th, just 2 days ago, by Newsweek in a column called My Turn by a woman by the name of Heidi Eumann, and I'll tell you who she is in just a moment. But it is titled, I Carried a Gun for a Month to Understand the People I Feared the Most. Oh, Justin, just the headline. We don't even have to go into the nuts and bolts of the column. What she's saying is the law-abiding people in America like us who carry guns. She said, well, I'm just not going to talk about them anymore. I'm going to actually live. And I got to give her some accolades for doing that. And here's what she had to say. In a country locked in bitter debate over guns, now I would argue that, but that's another discussion. I did something I doubt many gun control advocates would consider. I bought a firearm and carried it everywhere for a month. I thought I understood the issue. I had testified in state houses, marched with mothers in Washington, organized vigils, written op-eds, and served on the board of Brady, the nation's oldest gun violence prevention organization. But I had never stepped into the world of those I disagreed with, and I never understood how deeply guns are tied to identity, not just ideology. And she goes on, for 30 days, I wore a 9mm Glock concealed on my hip or tucked in my purse while I navigated grocery aisles, coffee shops, and business meetings. I wasn't afraid of accidentally shooting myself. I was afraid of being seen. I carried legally, but felt like an imposter, wearing a skin that didn't belong to me. The gun didn't bring confidence. It brought anxiety. I became hyper-aware, scanning crowds, checking my purse latch, mentally rehearsing worst-case scenarios. Carrying a weapon didn't calm my fear. It fed it. And she goes on to say, that she probably wouldn't have been able to use it because somebody else would have gotten the drop on her. She didn't understand why we do what we do, and on and on and on. Now, Justin, part of that I can understand if you've never carried a gun before and it's new to you. But just the headline itself, I think she went into this with predisposed notions. And I think the headline says it all. I carried a gun for a month to understand the people I feared the most. So, Justin, I guess she fears us more than criminals.
Well, from the description of what you read about her, what she felt when she carried the gun, I think she was starting to become a sheepdog because she was hyper aware. She was looking around, scanning for. She was armed and ready. I think if she keeps at it, she might become one of us, Mark.
Well, she didn't stay at it, and that was part of the problem. Now, listen to this one, Justin, and then you too, and we're going to stay on this topic for a minute. Ryan, I'm going to go to you now. I knew that as a white woman, carrying a concealed weapon came with an invisible layer of privilege. Ryan.
I'll take things that have things that never happened for 500, Alex.
I'll let you take that. Go right ahead.
Oh, I mean, look, this lady's full of crap. She
Carrying
probably
a
had
firearm is white
ChatGPT
privilege?
write this. She had ChatGPT write this, and look, this didn't
ChatGPT
happen.
never
This
lies
was
about
garbage.
anybody. It never calls people like me, embezzlers from. Oh, yes, it does, but that's okay. Go ahead.
No, I mean, look, this lady didn't. At a minimum, Mark, she went into this with a preconceived notion, and she probably wrote the article before she even tried this. If she did, I doubt she even did. She probably carried it for an afternoon. It was probably too heavy and cramped her style. I mean, look, this didn't happen. This is just garbage. I don't even know why they put these headlines out.
Well, because it's Newsweek, I guess. But the headline itself is interesting, Brad, is it not?
Yeah. I mean, I will say this. I mean, it does touch on. I mean, at least my first thought was, what she touches on is also, kind of goes the importance of having a proper mindset, when you do decide to become an armed citizen. And she did not have that proper mindset because she didn't get trained. She didn't.
Right.
She acted like she's carrying a rattlesnake in her purse. And that's kind of how she felt about it. Whereas. I mean, carrying a weapon is a tremendous amount of responsibility. It's not something that you should take lightly, but you have to have the right mindset to be an armed citizen and to be a sheepdog, like Justin said. And she obviously did not have that in her head. And so that's why she was fearful. I think that's natural for somebody who doesn't understand firearms, doesn't know firearms.
Correct.
But you know what? Like, that's the first step. I mean, like Justin said, maybe she's on her way, but it sounds like, she didn't really go into it with the intention of actually learning anything. She went into the intention of writing an article to try to make us look bad or look stupid.
You just nailed it. And Justin, believe it or not, it gets better. She says, when my month with a gun ended, I couldn't wait to get rid of my Glock. I had it melted down so at least this one gun wouldn't hurt anyone ever. But there are hundreds of millions more out there and more being manufactured every day.
30.
So, Justin, we've only got 30 seconds. It sounds like she doesn't trust herself with her own gun. Maybe it's just going to jump up and hurt somebody.
Well, I guess she thinks that every gun kills somebody, but there's a lot more guns, which I would say about 99.99% of guns never hurts a soul.
You better believe it, unless they're in the hands of criminals. But let's go back and close this segment out with the headline again, ladies and gentlemen. I carried a gun for a month to understand the people I feared the most. So this woman who works with Brady and spoke around the country and wrote the op-eds and all this stuff apparently feared you more than criminals on the streets. She doesn't understand you, so she feared you, not crime. Unbelievable. That's what the headline says. I didn't make it up. We'll be back right after this.
Desperado Sport Fishing Crew in Virginia Beach, Virginia supports Armed American Radio and our right to bear arms. Now, back to Mark Walters.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Car Firearms Group Studios. Of course, I am Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom. We are on the downside of the hour already. Buckle in. It's going to fly right by. Always does. Patriot Mobile Ranch on fire for you here. CZ Mike lit up for you. And, of course, it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. This is when I'm going to ask you to please visit all of our partners. Again, you can find them all at armedamericanradio.com, and we've got some great ones, and I'll just give you a quick rundown. But you know, Car Firearms, Patriot Mobile, join them. It's easy to do. Use the promo code AAR, get a great deal. Attorneys on retainer. If you don't have an attorney, just a no-brainer. I'll be speaking at their event in February for members only. AWR Hawkins will be there. Alan Gottlieb will be there, and many, many others. Maybe we can convince Ryan Petty to come out. That would be an awful lot of fun, too. But all of our great partners, X Insurance. You've got guns in the house. Maybe you've got a lot of guns in the house, and your homeowners might not cover it. You better look into that, by the way. Mine didn't. Get yourself some gap coverage. X Insurance will cover you. Own a business, firearms related, any business, doing anything. X Insurance has you covered. CZ, of course, Daniel Defense. To make sure to check out their H9. And Tyrannix over there is a new partner. Check out all their cool stuff. They've got some great apparel. You can find it at their website. Again, it's right on my website. Just go visit that, defendercoffee.com. Second Amendment Foundation, AmmoLand. Great stuff. My Pillow, the promo code AAR. Buy some cool stuff from Mike and support him. He's been with us now for almost 15 years. Emerson Knives, emersonKnives.com. Promo code AAR, 10% off. HeavensHarvest.com. Great food supply stuff over there. Some of their stuff's going to be in the winner's bag on the National Rifle Association promotion when it's done. GoatGuns.com. Feed your need over at GoatGuns.com. BarrelBuddy.com. Promo code AAR. Get 10% off. And while you're there, you can become an affiliate. Maybe sell a bunch of that stuff at the range. You can make some money. It's all self-explanatory on the website, BarrelBuddy.com. Use the promo code AAR. The affiliate link is right there for it. It explains everything. And, of course, Bud's Gun Shop is our exclusive online retailer. Believe me, they serve millions, over 5 million. Bud's has it. It's pretty much that simple. They have what you want and need, and you need and want what they have. BudsGunShop.com. Always great specials going on over there. Patriots Relief. Use that stuff all day long. Have some of it sitting right here in the studio with me. Some of the gummies, they work for me. The pain stuff, try it. See if it works for you. And many of you have, and we appreciate it very much. Crossbreed holsters, of course, and Center Fire Digital. If you've got a business and you want to do business with a company that thinks like you do, and you need web work done, AI work done, SEOs, whatever it is, Center Fire Digital has you covered. Make sure to check that out, and don't forget to get yourself a good attorney, attorneysonretainer.us. Okay, Brad, did we leave off with you? I think we did we not?
We did.
All right, so there was a post on X, guys, and Justin, I'll start with you on this. We'll go around the table. From M. Rabbit on X, relative to the show today, says, constitutional carry is a political campaign marketing label created in 2010 in Arizona to sell by association the idea that CCW is constitutional at the individual level. CCW is a state-regulated statutory right, nothing more. Interesting comment. Justin, when you hear that, does it sound anti-gun, pro-gun to you? What's the poster trying to say here? Would you agree with that statement? How do you decipher that?
Well, I think he's a little bit confused. I mean, we support and we pursue constitutional carry because so many of our original gun rights have been eroded over time by gun grabbers all throughout our country's history. When the nation was founded, the Constitution was your right to carry. You could carry a gun any across the state. But, unfortunately, we're in a situation now where we have to claw back our rights, and that's what we're working on doing, Mark.
And you're spot on. And I'm going to take it a step farther from what you just said, because I kind of read into that the same thing. There's a couple different ways you can interpret that. And I appreciate M. Rabbit at the Orig Rabbit at Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, for the comment, because giving us content, and I do appreciate that very much. It's what I like when you engage, guys. It's fun to do. I took the same thing away, but Ryan, I'm going to go a step further. I think this statement, what it reminded me of, was evidence of where we went with that state-regulated right, and the state that you live in Florida, is widely regarded as the state that gave us the quote-unquote modern carry permit. that we knew back in 1987 that carried us through to now where we're at constitutional carry. And we had to go, if you look back in hindsight, whether we like it or not, what happened, happened. We had to go through that process to get us back, as Justin said, to actual constitutional carry, which eliminated that right. And constitutional carry has a byproduct, shouldn't have been, but was turned into a byproduct of very successful concealed carry laws around the country. And because they were successful, constitutional carry became the law of the land. As Justin said, we had to claw it back. So you can kind of look at that way too. How do you read into that?
Well, I think about the long, let's call it the long march to restore our constitutional rights. You know, it's been a long time coming back. It shows you how precious these rights are, and if we ever allow them to be infringed, which unfortunately prior generations had done that, all in the search of safety, apparently, right? Or security, or the appearance of safety and security. They gave up some precious rights. It's been a long, hard fight to get them back. And once we have them back, we need to learn the lessons of history and never let them go again.
Brad?
Yeah, I mean, what Ryan said. I mean, so, you know, we talked about incrementalism. You know, the left uses it. Well, it works for us too. And that's what this is all about. In constitutional carry, I mean, you know, when you convert, when you have a right, you have to have a permit for, i.e. carrying a weapon. That makes that right to a privilege. Right. So, you know, getting our rights back, I mean, that's an extremely difficult thing to do because governments usually don't like giving up authority and power. And so the fact that we've been able to take that back from the government, state by state, you know, ballot measure by ballot measure over all these years, it's really a testament to perseverance. And we actually need to apply that same perseverance in a lot of other areas in our politics in our country.
Yeah, and I'm going to guess, Justin, that because we did this first with you on this particular point, that what you just heard from Ryan and Brad probably strengthened the point that you were making at the outset when we first brought this up, did it not?
Yeah. You know, Mark, we really do have to take the long road to recover our rights because, you know, we've been so robbed. But you know, thank God the American people are resilient and we're finally fighting for what we should be fighting for.
Yeah, and, you know, this ties back. It's a perfect segue, Ryan, for the discussion that I had with Sheriff Kurt Hoffman and with others on Friday on the program with the First District Court of Appeals tossing out the ban on open carry in your home state of Florida, which is now the law of the land. And this goes right back to how long did it take to have to claw that back in Florida? And quite frankly, it surprised all of us when this decision came out, kind of out of the blue, because it was floating. The case had been floating for 2 to 3 years, and boom, now Florida's back in the real world. How long did it take? And you and I talked about how that might never happen. If it weren't for this case, it likely wouldn't have.
Yeah, we've talked for a couple of years on this.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone up and testified for open carry in Florida. We got constitutional carry. That's all the legislature saw fit to grant us. I know this has been a legislative priority of the governors for some time, and the legislature just, for whatever reason, wouldn't do it. I've had a number of conversations with several of our past speakers of the House of Representatives here in Florida. None of them thought it was that important of an issue. And that goes to this, you know, like Brad said, the incrementalism that many on the right, we've sort of acquiesced and allowed things to go down a slippery slope. But anyway, didn't realize it would be the courts that would actually have to drag the legislature back
in line
to the side of the Constitution.
Well, thank God for the courts in this case because of the squishy rhinos, which is the problem that you've had in Florida. And don't be afraid. We make up our own words here on the show. It's incrementalizationalism. So we'll create that word. When we come back, I want to talk with the group about Chris Murphy. Go circle all the way back to what Jen Psaki would say. We're going to circle back to the opening remarks in the opening remarks of the show today. We'll be back. One more segment with the guys.
Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. Final segment, attorneysonretainer.us. If you don't have an attorney and you carry a gun and it's $35 a month, you are making a huge mistake. Don't be the person that says, oh my God, why didn't I listen to him? Just get it done. I know a lot of you have been on the fence, and I do want to throw this out. The reason I mention it again is because I had made a mistake over the last several months, actually, and said it was attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. So if some of you went there and saw the 404 page not found error up there, all you have to do is visit attorneysonretainer.us and use the AAR promo code, and it's right there built in for you. Take advantage of it. $50 off the 100, and you've got an attorney on retainer. You'll watch a video, fill out the paperwork, understand what you're looking at, and when you're done, you will have an entire law firm dedicated to nothing but your self-defense, attorney-client privilege instantly, and they're right there in your hip pocket. God forbid the worst day of your life happens and you need to defend yourself. Make sure to do that. All right, guys, welcome back in. Where did we leave off? Ryan, did we close off with you? I think we did.
We did.
All right, let's start, Brad, with you. Chris Murphy now rethinking Democrats' litmus test on gun control. I opened up the first segment with an 8 or 9 minute monologue on this topic about Chris Murphy. Now, this guy is an anti-gun zealot right out of the box. And I'm going to now defer over to bearingarms.com. That's Cam Edwards' headline there. Chris Murphy now rethinking Democrats' litmus test on gun control. Speaking at an anti-monopoly conference in D.C. on Monday afternoon, Murphy told the audience that the fastest growing share of the electorate are socially and culturally conservative voters who are economically populist. As he saw it, that would require his party, the Democrats, not only to embrace populist economic positions — he was, after all, speaking to a room full of anti-monopoly nerds — but to make room for candidates who won't always echo the D.C. Democrat consensus on issues. That was particularly true, he added, on social and cultural topics, and if he was going to demand certain ideological compromises from others, he would have to offer one of his own. I spent a long time trying to apply a litmus test to my party on this issue, guns, that I care so deeply about. I'm rethinking the wisdom of that, Murphy said, having just referred to gun policy specifically. I think the future of our republic and the future of our party now depends on us building a big tent party with economic populism, read stealing Trump's ideas, and the unrigging of democracy, Trump's idea, as the two tent poles, and really being purposely more permissive about who we let in on a host of other issues that matter to me and a lot of other Democrats. What he's saying is letting more pro-gun Democrats under the tent. Now, this tells me a lot. It means they know they suck. They know their policies suck. They know their ideas suck. So let's just fool the people and try to bring in some pro-gun Democrats to make it look like we're pro-gun when you know they're not going to change their tune at all, which tells me Chris Murphy thinks all of his voters are stupid. I'd like your thoughts.
I mean, I mean, Chris Murphy is probably up there with Eric Swalwell. It's like probably the most punchable person in Congress, to be honest with you. I mean,
well said.
Gives him a run for his money, that's for sure. But, it's like he's admitting, it's like he's admitting defeat in a way, admitting that the Democrat Party has become almost toxic, really, when you think about it. I mean, if you look at what makes up the Democrat Party right now, it is a coalition of weirdos, deviants, and criminals is what it is. And, like your average person who may not be very politically minded looks at that and thinks, I want nothing to do with those people. And so, I mean, they have royally screwed up their party over the last 10 years or so. And, I guess maybe credit to him for being smart enough to realize it. But, anybody who trusts a word out of his mouth or any Democrat's mouth at this point, you almost deserve whatever happens to you, because these people are nothing but liars, and they don't have your best interest in mind. They don't have the country's best interest in mind either.
Yeah, now he is smart enough to know that, Justin. In my closings, what Brad just said, he is smart enough to know that. What he's doing, Justin, in my estimation, the way I closed out my monologue, this is where I want to get your thoughts on, is that he already knows that it's a losing issue. It always has been. My thoughts on that are they just have no convictions. If they really believe in the gun control the way they say they do, he would have never said what he just said. So we know they don't believe it. It's all about power. Say this, Stupid people will buy it. We'll let some pro-gun Democrats in. We'll make it appear that we're pro-gun, and then we're going to go after gun control anyway, Justin. How stupid do they believe their own constituents are?
Well, we all know the Democrats take their constituents for granted, but, in order for us to have a strong republic, we do need to have two somewhat viable parties. And right now, the Democratic Party is not viable, so that's a big tragedy for our country.
It is. I don't disagree with you at all, and all you've got to do is look what happened today in Glendale, Arizona. That the division there, that should not be divided. Everybody should agree that Charlie Kirk, Ryan, being murdered was wrong. And talk about a big tent, it should have been everybody in Congress there. Rather than that, we've got Jasmine Crockett, AOC, using their platform on the House floor to denigrate Charlie Kirk and all of his followers, which, by the way, ladies, and I use that term loosely, includes my kids. And I have to be FCC friendly, so I'll stop there. Ryan, take it away.
Look, the modern Democratic Party is a shell of its former self. I mean, look, they've allowed the leftist progressive crazies to run everything. They can't. They have to fundraise by appealing to that absolutely insane wing of the party. Unfortunately, and I've heard, rumors, you've probably heard these too, Mark. AOC runs the Senate. Chuck Schumer doesn't run the Senate for the Democrats. AOC, he's afraid of AOC. He lives, talk about living in fear, that reporter, or whatever she was saying, living in fear. Chuck Schumer is constantly looking over his shoulder, fearful of a run by AOC for his Senate seat. So this is how they behave. They refuse to engage. Look, we've gotten to the point now where they've assassinated a conservative that was willing to talk to them. Look, can't have dinner with them, can't have a political conversation with them, can't have a country with them. I don't know where we go from here, but someone in the Democratic Party's got to take control and grow up and be an adult.
You know who's taking that mantle right now? And I never thought I would say this. Fetterman. Hey, Brad, I'll close. Yeah, Fetterman right now, believe it or not. Brad, here's how bad it is. Drudge Report. What a loser he's become. What you just had with Charlie Kirk. Here's his headlines right now. DOJ closed investigation into Tom Homan for accepting cash. Show your face. California bans masked ICE. Newsom fights dystopian spiral. Nothing about Charlie Kirk's memorial service today, Brad. 15 seconds. We'll close out with you.
I'm just going to say, let's look at how far we've come. I mean, in 2016, it felt like, Hillary Clinton was inevitable. We beat her. We had dark days in 2020, the stolen election, and we had no idea. I felt kind of lost. 5 years later, look where we're at. We are probably in a better position right now than we ever have been. We've lost Charlie Kirk, but I think his death has actually brought on, a revival that we need. And so let's not screw it up. Let's take advantage of it. And this is a big chance for us. And let's,
like Trump said when he closed out his remarks in Phoenix today, fight, fight, fight. Justin, you were spot on. That takes us right back to your opening statements at the first part of the program. Justin Moon, CEO of Car Arms. Thank you, brother. Glad you traveled safe. Welcome back. Great to have you this week. As always, Ryan Petty, Parkland Dad, we love you. I'll be seeing you at the Gun Rights Policy Conference coming up this next weekend in just about 7 days. And Brad, thanks for everything. Guys, we're going to get up and do it again tomorrow. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. We'll see you on the radio.
10.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gals and gents, guys and dames, thanks for being here today. Appreciate it very much. Great program. Flew right by. Always does, but some engaging topics, and we appreciate it. And we appreciate your participation, both in the chat and on Twitter, and also had some on the Riverside FM feed for us. that we were responding to as well. So thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the program as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Enjoy what's left of your day, particularly if you're out on the West Coast and have more time than we do on the East Coast. Love each and every one of you. We're going to get up and do it again tomorrow precisely because they don't want us to. Stay safe. Carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. Enjoy your day. Stay safe, guys. And we'll see you on the radio tomorrow.